if there is anything that these recent events have or should have reinforced for me and should really bring this to your awareness and really make you consider this, really, you gotta consider this, folks, is the importance of not relying on the governments of the world, the systems in place for shelter, for support, for food, etc., etc., etc. Because they don't give a fuck about any of us. They see the entire planet as a farm. The more suffering there is in it, the more they can feed off. The entire game, the entire show, and I got a video coming up on that, specifically about the reptilians. The whole thing right now, all the systems in place for the last few thousand years, there were different ages, okay? For the last few thousand years or so, all the systems in place are all reptilian systems. Well, who are the reptilians? They're fourth density beings. You can't see them, you can't hear them. Unless, of course, you are attuned to these frequencies. Some people can, shamans, psychonauts, but you need your psychedelic, of course. Schizophrenics, they're more attuned to these densities. They can see, they can hear these entities. They're the ones in charge. They're the ones that have set the system, okay? And all of those, the cabal, you know, which are just like maybe a handful of people, maybe like a few dozens, just a few dozens. They're not even the ones. They're just the puppets of the fourth density beings, the reptilians. Okay, like the whole thing right now, this is a chess game going on. And where there is control, where there is lying and deception, that's their weapon. Lying and deception and control, because they want to control. There is a reptilian agenda. There are fourth density beings that you cannot see, you cannot hear, that are running the show. And the cabal, which is again a few dozen people, that's just their puppets. They're puppets. In a way, they sold their soul. That's what's called selling your soul for the devil, right? Devil is the dark side of the duality. Darth Vader, you know, you can think of Darth Vader as someone who sold his soul. Remember that old guy? That represents the reptilians, actually. That old guy that turned Darth Vader. From Anakin to Darth Vader. So, the whole show is run by the reptilians. You can't see them, you can't hear them. It's a fourth dimension. If there's a good time for you to get into all this stuff, it's now. If you really want to know what's going on. So, what was I ranting on? Yeah, so it should be clear to you by now that you cannot rely on these systems because they don't care about you. This is a farm. They see it as their farm, and they want as much suffering because that's how they feed. You feed on lighter, more subtle forms of energy in those densities. So, for example, angels will feed on light. It's light, it's subtler. You can't eat it, not in a physical sense anyway. Fourth density negative beings feed on anger, frustration, suffering, fear, anything fear. They'll feed on your fear. Right now they're eating. Like with all this that's going on, they're eating. They're eating. For them it's a feast now. Okay? So, the solution, while I guess now it's available, it's always been available. You know, it's always been available. Is to go live off grid. Is to go live off grid. Is to go and buy a piece of land, which is fucking retarded. It's, oh my god. But like even that concept is just so stupid. Okay, I guess at this present moment you cannot totally get off the matrix. You cannot totally not play by those systems, you know? Because if you're buying the land from the government, who's in charge of the government? Who's running the show, right? But I guess it's a loophole that's available to us at the moment while things change and we move into the heart chakra and realize how stupid it is, even the concept of possession and ownership, how stupid that is. That's an old paradigm that will fall. But at the current moment, the best option, I would say, anybody who's done with that system of being deep in the matrix, right, this reptilian system, is to go buy some land, and build your own shelter on it and live on it. You know, if you want some energy, there are many alternative energy systems. Solar, there is hydro, there is wind, and there are so many people you can learn from on YouTube. The off-grid community is expanding, and my prediction is it will expand exponentially once this comedy that we're watching at the moment is done with and things are back to normal. You will see a surge up in people who are done with the system and they just would rather go and live off the grid. This has reinforced it for me. In fact, I would like to do it earlier. I had an initial timeline of 3 to 5 years because I want to, I guess, start the project from a particular, I want to buy lots of land and I want to start it off in a way, like I just want to buy a lot of land, I guess. But I realize that it's got to happen sooner. The people who are just, and I've seen some people on YouTube who are literally laughing. I've seen 2 videos today of people who live off grid and they're talking about this whole thing. Both videos that I saw, 2 different people, they were like laughing half the video, almost as if to, I would be laughing too. If I was living off the grid and I wanted to make videos on what's going on, I'd be laughing because it's almost like, ha 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 ha, I figured this shit out like 5 years ago, and that's exactly why I am where I am. They're literally laughing. They're laughing at the whole thing because they can afford to, because they're outside of it. They're not gonna get bothered. If you're not inside a city, you're not gonna get bothered. And that's what's happening now. I think more and more people will go live off grid when this thing is done. And so we will have like this division at this current time where like you have these cities and it's gonna be like 5G, electrical cages to the max, lots of suffering, lots of pain, lots of food for the reptilians. And then you'll have an increasing community. And all you have to do is do some research on YouTube to see. There's big channels with 1 million+ subscribers that are all about off-grid living. And you read the comments and everyone's like, man, I want to do this. Now more and more people are going to want to do this. So there is a split there, definitely. Every action has a reaction. With more control now in 5G, a lot more people are going to be like, fuck this shit, I'm peacing out. Okay, so for me, I realized this. I started this talking about this 4 months ago. I guess I had an intuition of some sorts, and I just had this I'm like, I gotta do this. I'm not involved in the conspiracy theories or the truth community, blah blah blah. I'm not at all. But I just had this intuition like 3-4 months ago. I have to do this, and now this shit happens. I'm like, Except for I want to do it sooner now. I'd like to do it much sooner, like within a year. That's the plan. We're in March 2020. So the plan is to be living off grid. I don't have the same plan to buy a lot of land anymore or build something big in the beginning. I just want something very basic. I'll probably install a little internet tower or use their solar means of getting internet. So we'll look into that. Very basic, very simple. It won't cost me much. I could do it within a year and make that my base, and that's it. Live there and continue to expand the off-grid living. I'd like to build a big community. I'd like to build a big community of people who just don't want. Frankly, I have very low tolerance for the Matrix at this point. I won't have any more of it. Why should I? When there is an alternative way, a much more peaceful way of living, a much more joyful way of living. You see, and I'm already a minimalist as I am. I don't even plan to have a water system there. That's how basic it's gonna be. Because when I was living in the island of Koh Phangan and in Pai, I barely showered because then I would just go hop in. Like a river or a waterfall or the beach. That's how I showered. And then if you wanna answer the call of nature, well, nature is all around you. So go answer the call of nature in nature. You see, so even that I won't even have that. Probably just grow a little bit of food. I already eat barely as it is, barely. And yeah, really, it's gonna be very, very basic. It's gotta happen, folks. It's gotta happen. We cannot continue to be at the whim and at the mercy of the system, because you see that the ones you see how they just staged the whole thing. They staged it and they put us in fear and panic, and it's like, why? Why be in that anymore? Like, when you don't have to be, right? So yeah, go buy a piece of land. Yeah, sure. You're still, I guess, who you're buying it from, the government. I mean, who's the government? Who's the government, right? But at least you're outside that system. We can take care of these other things, like the ridiculous thing that you even have to buy land to begin with, etc., etc. We'll take care of that later. That's like advanced shit, advanced work. Once the consciousness is a bit more raised, then we can raise the problem. We have to go now from real shitty to shitty. Okay, like that's how we have to go. And then we'll go from shitty to decent. And then we'll go from decent to excellent. And we'll go from excellent to godly. Okay, so now we're at the point where I have to go from really, really shitty to shitty, which is you have to buy the land from the government. All right, so let's play the game. Let's play it. We came here to change it, so let's change it that way. The whole thing with even the idea of buying land is just ridiculous. Because just look at the earth, how big it is. You could have everybody you grant everyone land, and it's just that idea of even buying is ridiculous. Of course, when Tao is lost, anyway, I'm not gonna get too metaphysical here. I'm not gonna bring the Tao into it for the time being. What I'm saying is, the people who are living off grid right now, they're literally laughing. I've seen 2 different videos, literally, like they're like 20-minute videos. When I say they're laughing, like they're talking about it and they're cracking jokes, and they just seem to be very relaxed. They're trying to explain it, blah blah, but they're very relaxed. And when you're relaxed, you're more jokey, you're comical. They have to be relaxed. They have to be relaxed because the systems, the way they're gonna feed off the masses is through the cities. Okay, if you're living off grid and you're somewhere in the middle of nowhere, nobody's gonna bother you. They don't want anything to do with you. Yeah, you want to go ahead. We have a bunch of we have most of the human population locked down in these cities. You see. So to them, it's no big deal. Yeah, they're not gonna bother you. The demons don't want to go to peaceful places anyway. They want to go to places that are chaotic and fear-based, right? So no demon will come near you. No, they're not gonna bother you. So it's very obvious, and I now have to adjust the plan, because you gotta adjust with move, blah blah. I know some of you guys are saying, well, that's if there is a world to begin with after. Like Saeed, you're saying this as if you're so sure that everything's gonna collapse, blah blah. Well, when 9/11 happened, a lot of people said this is it, it's over, the world's completely done for. But it wasn't, and it's not gonna be like that this time, right? Things will go back to normal, blah blah blah. There will be an economic reset, most likely. Perhaps a gold-backed US dollar, fiat currency will most likely still be used, and things will relatively go back to, of course, a new normalcy, but life will go on again. And when life goes on again, boy, I'll tell you, go as soon as possible, go somewhere nice with decent regulations and laws, and buy yourself a piece of land and buy yourself some peace of mind while you're at it. Okay? So I think I'm going to maybe next week or the week after, because I think I did a little rough estimate, the calculations. I think I only need about $10,000 to be able to do this, to get the land, to build a little thing on it, and install the internet. Again, it's gonna be very basic, so basic I won't even have a water system. So go figure. Because I don't really need it, right? So I think I might release a campaign for anyone who wants. I mean, we already have PayPal, Patreon, so that's beautiful. Thank you guys for the support. If you currently want to donate, because all of it goes to the Off-Grid Project. I teach kids online English, so anything you donate is actually a surplus that's going towards the project. And I came here to Georgia specifically because it's very affordable, and I have a visa free here for 1 year. so I can continue my work online and continue to save up without having to be bothered by constant flights and doing my visa run, blah, 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 in most places. So anything you donate goes surplus, goes straight into the project. But I think I might release a campaign specifically for that. You know, we might have some people that want to donate, you know, a decent amount of money, because it's only $10,000, and currently I could, you know, make that within a year. But if we get donations, maybe sooner. You know, maybe sooner. Why not? So hopefully that also just raises an eyebrow or two for you and makes you realize, like, am I just going to be dependent on the system for the rest of my life here? Am I going to be at the whim of some fourth density, totally malevolent beings that see all of the humanity and all the planet and the animals as their farm first, and they want as much suffering here as possible? So that's about it, and I will see you guys in the next video.